One of the prime reasons for using RentPro is to keep track of rent and tenant balances. So in this tutorial, we'll review this functionality. In a previous session, we created a tenancy for our tenant, Tina tenant. So I'll first explain how to record receipts of both the security deposit and a rent payment. Financial transactions are recorded in the bank area, so we'll click on this in the main menu bar, and as we're recording the receipt of monies from our tenant, we'll select Tenant Transactions. We're now required to specify the property associated with our tenant. So I'll start typing the first line of the address, and when it becomes the selected item in our drop-down list, simply hit return on your keyboard. We'll first record the security deposit payment. So I enter £800 in the receipt total box, and then select security deposit from the drop-down list. We then need to record details of the transaction, specifically the date on which we received the deposit payment, what form the transaction took, cash, cheque, etc., and the bank account into which the money was lodged. When we've that done, we can click on the Submit Receipt button. After doing this, we have the option to print out or email a receipt for the transaction. Recording the receipt of the rent payment is very similar. This time I'll enter £1,000 into the receipt total box to cover the £200 arrears along with this month's rent. Instead of security deposit, this time I'll select tenant payment from the drop-down list. I specify the transaction date, the form the money was received, and the account into which the payment was made. Again, we click on Submit Receipt. Now we can see that the security deposit has been paid and the rent balance is zero from this tenancy details pane. But let's generate a report to look at things in more detail. I'm going to generate a statement for the tenant. We can do this by selecting Reports from the main menu and then clicking on Tenant. We identify our tenant and then click on Next. Only one type of tenant report is available, so I'll click on Next again. I'll select this month and then click on Next. And here we have our resulting statement. It includes a security deposit section where we can see that we've received £800. Below this, we can see that RentPro has applied a debit to the tenant based on the tenancy information that we previously supplied. We can also see that the rent receipt that we recently recorded has also been listed, leaving a zero balance. As you can see, we have options of either printing or emailing this statement.